Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Gentleman's Debate podcast. How are you doing? We are going to be discussing today some mixed martial arts news. We'll also be talking around about some Star Wars news that Sam's got.
Very excited. Very excited.
We'll also be covering the football and the British football, I presume. Yeah.
International break.
Oh, it's international. Oh, okay. Yeah, because there was international games. I saw it when I was at the pub yesterday.
Yeah.
And then also we'll have again the return of the funny news section that our fine friend Josh will be looking after for us. We've actually now got a microphone for Josh.
Say hello, Josh. Hi, guys.
So now Josh can actually read stuff to us, and we can discuss it here on the Gentleman's Debate podcast.
Yeah. And I'm Sam, by the way. He didn't introduce me.
And now you can hear me, you unlucky bastards.
Thank you, Josh. But sorry, mate, I didn't.
I know.
I totally forgot. Well, most people should be listening.
Should be familiar.
Yeah, should be knowing it. Mickey is unfortunately away, but it's just going to be us two doing it, basically. So what should we discuss about first? Should we?
Do you want to bump straight into MMA?
We could warm up with just general chit chat, catch up about each other's week.
Yeah. What did you do during the week? Well,
it obviously mostly work. We're both full-time employees of different companies. But most that I took my rabbit to the vet.
Oh yeah.
And
is it okay?
Yeah, no, it was just to get it apparently there's a new virus that's come over from France that just kills rabbits.
Oh.
It just straight kills them. There's no symptoms, they just die. Yeah, it's scary as fuck. So the vet was telling me about it, and I was proper scared. But then Pip, he's the little boy rabbit that we have. He was very nervous in the vet's office, and we were kind of me and my girlfriend were petting him and stroking him and trying to calm him down. But what he was doing was, whenever the vet didn't hold on to him, he was on the table and he would climb up onto Lily's arm, my girlfriend's arm, and then he would jump from her arm up me and onto my shoulder, and he was kept sitting on my shoulder, looking at the vet what are you going to do? What are you doing, huh? So we had to continuously take him down from my shoulder, because I'm the taller of us. And Pip was, I don't know whether he was trying to see if he could be like a meerkat kind of thing, get to the highest point and see what's going on, or whether he was just that scared. So I felt a little bit sorry for him, but I was like, come on, mate, we need to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to be in this place. I don't want to be in the vets for this long. But the vet's super nice. He's a nice bloke up at in York at Clifton Moor, vets for pets at the Pets at Home.
Oh yes, yeah.
And there's so many baby rabbits in there. They've just got loads of baby rabbits.
My mate works there on the reception, actually.
Does he or she?
Yes, he.
He? What's he look like?
Just dark hair.
Great description, mate.
Yeah.
That's literally
probably wearing glasses.
That's literally most of the people there. The woman who was on the desk was really nice, because we put because we had a little carry case, we put Pip up onto the carry case, and then the woman was talking to him like a little when you talk to a kid hello. And I was like, she's maybe a professional, and she's just lost it, because she's like, little cute rabbit. Admittedly, I lose it when I see rabbits. I'm like, oh. That's why when we were going downstairs, I bought him some treats, because I was I felt a bit sorry for him, obviously. And on my way out, there was just all the baby rabbits were being fed, and they were all eating. I was like, oh, I just want to take her with me. Here's my money. I wanted to throw my money at them and take all the baby rabbits with me. I have got a soft spot for rabitos.
Weird. Rabbits.
Yeah, they're so cute.
Yeah,
they're so
rabbits
soft
are cute, actually. I will give you that, yeah.
Although we're fostering one right now called Domino from one of our friends who's in between places. So we're kind of looking after him, and he's a nice rabbit. But because he's in by himself, he doesn't have another rabbit to cuddle with, and he's been very naughty recently, where he jumps behind the back of the other rabbit's cage. He gets over. This is the really annoying bit. We put chicken wire around it to stop around the fence. Around the cage to stop them getting in behind it, because they were digging underneath the fence to try and get into my neighbour's garden. Because he's a much bigger rabbit. My rabbit's this big.
Yeah.
And then the other rabbits, the Domino rabbit is giant. He's a big rabbit. So it's my rabbits are let's say a small ruler big.
Yeah.
He's a big ruler. So 15 centimeters versus 30 centimeters, or 6 inches versus 12 inches kind of size difference. ladies. And he can jump so high because we put the chicken wire fence up like a foot and a half. He can clear the whole foot and a half thing and gets behind it and starts digging. And I had to pull him out, and he came out and he's just covered in mud, and he's just looking at me like, "Hello, I didn't do anything." So I was pretty mad with him. I wasn't very happy with him at all. But he's going back to.
Did he get put in a timeout?
He was put in his cage without any food. I felt that bad because he was digging. He got so they were great at digging. I'll tell you that now. Rabbits are amazing.
Yeah, that's why they live
digging.
Underground.
True, that is true. We probably should I was thinking it would be cool if you could make it so you could have an underground bit for them. So they have their hutch and they can dig under into the ground, but then obviously they just tunnel the fuck away and just disappear, and you'd be like, well, not having those rabbits anymore.
I did not think this through.
No,
I remember when I was a young'un, we used to live,
lad.
Yeah, a wee lad. We used to live down my old street, and they weren't our neighbours, but they were like our friends that lived down the same street as us. Yes. They used to have like loads of cats and a big rabbit, and I mean this rabbit was like bigger than the cats.
Yeah.
And it used to chase the cats around. You think it's the opposite way, but all the cats were absolutely shit scared of this monster rabbit.
I would.
Yeah.
Because it was was it a boy rabbit as well? Because they hump like all the time.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was a boy or a girl.
I saw a video where there's like a ginger rabbit is chasing a ginger cat round, and then eventually gets the cat down and just starts fucking humping the shit out of it. And then the cat's trying to claw at it. The rabbit's like, I don't give a fuck. It's just going hammer and tong.
I hope that rabbit's name was Harvey.
Really? You made that joke? Fucking hell, mate.
On Kevin's face.
I had to.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, mate. Well, shall we address that? Shall we address this?
We probably should.
Yeah. In the news, for anyone who didn't quite follow that joke, it was Sam was referring to obviously the controversy that's happening with Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey,
Louis
C.K. now.
They're all coming out.
There's somebody else as well.
There was one directed at Charlie Sheen.
Oh, Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's bad, that one.
Yeah.
It's really bad, that one. I'll tell you, right, I'll do the Steven Seagal one, because the reason why I know so much about Steven Seagal is because, one, I used to love his films. Two, he trained inverted commas Anderson Silva. You know do you remember the front kick where he knocked out Vitor Belfort? Is that front kick where he just and then just Vitor Belfort dropped onto the floor?
I think so.
Yeah, it's a fucking bad. It was apparent. He said he trained Anderson Silva that. I was like, nah, Anderson Silva is like an ex Muay Thai champion. I think I think I know. He knows definitely how to teep somebody straight clean in the face.
Steven Seagal's always been a weird bloke.
Yeah, and he's the first American to get a black belt in Aikido.
Right.
But Aikido is like one of the most like redundant martial arts I've ever come across in my entire life.
Right.
And that's not me like knocking people who are into martial arts. That's me just knocking the effectiveness of Aikido. Like I'd say Aikido could be effective against somebody who's had no martial arts training and isn't very physically strong. But you come across somebody who has had any version of martial arts training or I should say, who is quite a physically big person, you are not going to do anything to that. Because you don't actually learn how to strike. So there's no striking in it. You also don't learn how to actually... Because all it's about wrist locks. So it's all about wrist locking somebody. So like turning the wrist round so it's painful.
Right.
But the problem is that doesn't work for some people. Some people can like take that pain. And some people, like, I remember I did an Aikido taster session at York St. John University, and the lead instructor who was, let's say for example, he was like third dan or something like that. He put me in a wrist lock, and I immediately, because I went back, because I'd went from my college to uni, and I'd been doing MMA for like 2 or 3 years whilst in college, because I needed some kind of outlet, because I was an angry young man. And then basically, he did that, and I picked him, double-legged him, and he let go of it, and I was like, he let go of the wrist lock, and then I was like, well, that was effective, wasn't it? You let go of the one thing that's keeping you alive. So that lesson, and I was like, no, that's it. And then I was there, and the girl who was the women's karate captain,
right.
We later met each other after, like a year after that taster session. We were both there, and we both were like, this is bullshit. Like we both were like, that was the worst training I've ever, because like you do this weird training like for stances, and you kind of do it in karate as well, but with karate it's like you're trying to just hit somebody. You're trying to kick them, punch them, elbow them, knee them, etc. Like you're trying to just, there's a difference in my opinion of the effectiveness between karate and aikido. Like aikido used to be part of judo, and then what happened was it was basically split away. So like what you've done is you've taken Japanese jiu-jitsu or Japanese budo, where it's like you have the elements of striking, grappling, and submissions all together. So that was the original like samurai style of fighting. And then what you did is you splintered them. So there's the striking element, the grappling element, and then the submission element. And jiu-jitsu is kind of like the one, Japanese jiu-jitsu is the one that kind of incorporates all of that.
Right.
But in my opinion, not very well. But then aikido is like an offshoot of jiu-jitsu and kind of judo, where basically it's all about wrist locks. But like, it's so like shit. But anyway, so Steven.
First
segue. So going back to Steven. So Steven Seagal, you know, quite. That's a good title to have, like the first American to get a black belt in Aikido. So, but it's not like judo or karate. So,
yeah,
my opinion of him as a martial artist isn't great. His films are quite funny and actiony and over the top. But yeah, basically what happened was the wife of Ellen DeGeneres came out saying that what he had done is he had said if she wanted to get into a film, that what he did was he went up to, I think they went to a room, and he was in like black leather trousers, and he unzipped his leather trousers and basically got his genitalia out in front of her and said, this is how you get the part. And she was like, no. One because, well, she's a lesbian.
Yeah.
And two, because obviously that's, she's not into that. But like, it's a running joke. Like, this has always been a joke, like the casting couch.
Yeah.
Like, that's an entire porn genre, is casting couch.
It has been a thing within Hollywood, I think. It was commonly known for a bit that sort of stuff was going on.
Yeah. So they've always, like,
yeah.
What I will say is I feel a bit sorry for Steven Seagal because he's quite under siege.
That's all right. But to say that a rabbit could be called Harvey.
Oh, yeah. But, he's under siege too. Yes! Yes, I made the joke. You're welcome. Yes.
In the video, I'm just gonna cut this to me face palming.
That's fine. Yeah. That's well, don't actually. But yeah, and then you've also got Louis C.K. Do you know what he was?
Louis C.K. was.
What he did. I know I heard about what he did.
He was just sending dick pics, wasn't it? Like, a lot of it.
Did something else.
Really?
So basically what he did was he was at I don't know, I think it was like a comedy thing. And basically some of the comedians in certain of the clubs have their own like room, especially if they're big guys, to get prepared and get kind of psyched up. After his set, a girl came up to him and wanted to talk to him about how to become like a stand-up comedian. And he was like, yeah, sure, do you want to come to my room? And she was like, I don't know. She was a bit like worried about it, obviously. So she brought her friend with her. She went, is there I'll bring my friend. And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So we went up to his room. And apparently what he did was he went, is it okay if I get my dick out? Straight away, like, is it all right if I get... And they went, no. And he went, oh, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Got his dick out and then just started masturbating in front of him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Louis C.K. is just a straight up monster. I felt, when I heard that, I was like, damn, is the way... But apparently he asked really politely to begin, like, he went, is it all right if I get my penis out, please? Like, he asked really politely. And then went, you know what, I'm going to get out anyway.
But you see that he released a statement about it, which was like...
Sending dick pics to people, I'm a bit like...
Massive...
Was it a massive statement?
Massive statement, but apparently, like, he says, he was saying that it was wrong of him. He obviously used that power, blah, 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 which, yeah, totally, it was wrong.
It's a predatory kind of
apparently,
thing.
He didn't say sorry once in the statement. But yeah, like, you just start to think, where is any of the, like... this stuff going to end, because it just seems that more and more and more and more is just coming out, and it's just like there was the one that Charlie Sheen, because he got done for,
I thought he got done for giving people fucking HIV or something like that.
No, what happened was
he's got HIV.
What happened with Charlie Sheen was he so obviously a few years ago, back when he went on it, like he went mental,
full bore, he went Britney Spears mental.
Apparently what it was is that at that time he had found out he had HIV. Shit. He didn't want to release it to the public. He was then being blackmailed by one of his ex-lovers who was saying that she was going to release it to the public.
Oh my God.
So he was like paying her off so she didn't do it. in that time, he did have unprotected sex with other women, but they knew that he had HIV, and they did it anyway. But I think he must have been paying them because he's well known. He liked his prostitutes, didn't he?
What the fuck? Apparently you can take a drug that stops it from getting in your system.
Yeah. The HIV research is...
I mean, it's good that the research is going on, but flipping out,
they're saying
scary.
that they're practically there to curing it.
It's scary. It's amazing that we could eradicate that entire virus. I mean, it's like we have eradicated certain viruses. Like, I think polio, that's
polio,
dead.
yeah,
we wiped that out. And the interesting thing about like something to do with like vaccines and stuff like that and immunities, you don't have to make the entire population of the planet immune. You only have to make half of them immune, like give them the vaccine. Because the virus can't transfer, so it doesn't. It will only get so far, and then it will die off. Because it can't go through its full life cycle of producing, reproducing, and continuously doing that. It can't go through the full life cycle. So when it meets somebody, it can't infect. It can't spread. It's interesting that, but fucking hell. I mean, Charlie Sheen, like that was bad. But this stuff about like Harvey Weinstein, like these are big.
There was a one that I read the other day about I can't remember the guy's name. He was a child actor.
This is about Kevin Spacey?
No, this is still Charlie Sheen. He committed the child actor committed suicide a few years ago. He was a friend of is it Corey Feldman?
Yeah.
And it was one of them where they worked on a film together.
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen wasn't in Stand By Me. Was it Lost Boys? Was Charlie Sheen in the Lost Boys?
Yes.
Both of them Kiefer Sutherland. I know that much, but
I think he was in, and they were in Wild Boys or something like that. They did the cowboy film. They did the cowboy TV series.
It might have been that. I can't remember anyway. But I think it was Corey Feldman who turned around and said something like, I might have been wrong. It might not have been Corey Feldman who said it, but someone came out and said something like, when Charlie Sheen was 19 and this kid was 15 or something,
right,
that they had a relationship on the set, and they had sex with each other and all this, and then but Charlie Sheen's representative came out straight away after this was released the other day and just went, no, we completely deny that. That is false. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes.
So it's interesting when you say that.
Like that's the first example of one of these stories coming out and them coming out and going, nope.
No. So what happened? Ed Westwick, who was in Westwick, is it? Who was in Gossip Girl,
right? And
is in White Gold,
right?
BBC Two comedy,
right,
with the two in-betweener guys who aren't the main guys, the main person,
right? Do
you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, it'll be.
A lot of girls who watch Gossip Girl will know exactly what I'm on about. The actor who plays, the actor called Ed Westwick, he's been accused by two different women that he's committed sexual assault on them.
Yeah,
he saw that one vehemently denied it. He went, I can't believe I've been dragged into something like this. You guys are trying to extort me. You're trying to ruin my entire thing. And basically, is it Ed Westwick? It is.
Yes, I saw that.
So can you find out what role he played in Gossip Girl, and then I can tell people. So.
Because that's the thing about
went full bore, like he went on Twitter and he went straight to social media and he went, I didn't do anything like that. I completely deny it. I can't believe I've been drawn into this, because he did an interview. Apparently my girlfriend was telling me about Gossip Girl. Chuck Bass, thank you, where he was interviewed, where the guys were like the people are interviewing saying, so because his character Chuck Bass basically is a fucking dick and an asshole and does rape somebody in Gossip Girl.
Right.
He's a proper messed up piece of shit. But the guys, the interviewer asked around about how much of how you like your character, and he went, I'm nothing like my character. I can't stand him. Like I actually hate my character, but I'm doing its service. I'm doing it justice. Sorry. So he's went out vehemently denying it. But then you look at here's an example of when somebody was basically. Somebody used their position to have sex with somebody. Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. Because basically they had an affair. And it's in Carrie Fisher's book.
Yeah.
Like you can read that. Like you can actually read where basically he used his position and power to then have sex with her. And she had sex with him. Like it did happen. But like when no one's crying about it. I mean, unfortunately Carrie Fisher's dead, and her mother died as well.
It's a weird situation, that, because they were still friends, weren't they?
Yeah, they still are.
Yeah.
Yeah, still were. Sorry. Sorry, Carrie. But it was an interesting thing, like, and now we're seeing, obviously, all the stuff with Harvey Weinstein. His are, like, big, fucking massive celebrities.
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie, you had, who was in Iron Man?
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow, thank you. She's come out as well. Other actresses have come out as well around about what's happened. But it's like they all knew. Did
you hear one of the apparent clauses he had in his contract?
Yes, it was that you could only be sued for a certain amount for...
He can only be sued for a certain amount for it, and he can't be fired for it.
Yeah, it was in his contract.
Like
it was that bad that they knew, like, all the flipping contractual people, like the lawyers, knew it was going on.
Yeah.
Like that. It's like when people go on, oh yeah, everybody knew at the BBC about Jimmy Savile. No one fucking said anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they don't... this is the thing, like, when you're in that position where that person is churning out that much content and you can make that much money out of them, you don't care. It's like fucking when the US government used to back fucking fascist dictators in South America because they didn't want communism in South America. That's literally... They were like, yeah, we'll back people who committed mass murder and genocide because we don't want communism here. That's why they got involved in, like, loads of conflicts down in South America, Vietnam, Korea, because they just didn't want any spread of communism because it was the most fundamental threat to their entire system. So, like, when you're in the film industry, music industry, etc., and you're like this person who's ultra successful, you're gonna try and placate them as much as possible, but then you're ready to jump ship straight away when something like this comes out. So that's why Harvey Weinstein's just been totally abandoned by everybody. Yeah. His best mate, fucking Quentin Tarantino, was like, "See ya, I ain't friends with you anymore." It's horrendous. Like, it just went mental.
Seen the one as well. There was something about George Takei as well recently.
No, not George Takei,
because he was one of the people who went absolutely insane about, I think it was Weinstein. Like, had a big Twitter...
He had a full rant about it.
And now he's had accusations against him as well. I think, but the important thing to stress at this point is any of them that are accusations...
Yeah.
Are accusations.
Now they're accusations.
Yeah. They could become...
They could be true, they could be false.
It could be proved true, it could be... Yeah. Now, that's a big problem, like, with it at the moment as well. Like, there have been stuff, like, let's say, with the guy from...
Ed Westwick.
Yeah, Ed Westwick. They are accusations. Nothing's been proven yet. And yet his career will probably suffer.
His career's fucked.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to always have that stigma on him now.
Yeah. And which...
But he might...
Yeah, it might come true. And if it does, then by all means his career should be fucked after that.
Should be.
But it's like... It's this... The world we live in, it's got to be innocent until proven guilty.
That's how our justice system works, yes. But then I would say that the problem that you've got is, like, you look at somebody like O.J. Simpson who got away with murder, and true. Everyone goes, we know he committed the act. Everybody knows.
He released I
think he said, like, I was in a position where I did that.
He released a book saying, I didn't do it, but if I did, this is how I would.
If in tiny writing, I remember that. It was fucking terrible.
So, on the whole George Takei thing,
yep.
He was accused of abusing a Hollywood barman in the 80s.
Can you go closer to the microphone, please?
Yep. So, the George Takei thing, he was accused of... abusing a Hollywood barman in the 1980s.
A Hollywood barman in the 1980s. George Takei was accused of abusing a barman?
Yeah.
What did he do?
I don't know.
Okay, so, like...
I guess by that it could just...
So, apparently he...
Put the headphones on, Josh, and then you can hear how loud you are.
He passed out and woke up with his trousers around his ankles, and Takei was groping him.
He passed out,
yeah,
and George Takei was groping him.
Yep.
How did he pass out? So he might have been
drinking with them.
Yeah, he might have got drunk.
Yeah, probably.
And then, he might have had some kind. He might have been spiked.
Yeah.
You got spiked recently, didn't you? Not good, is it? I got spiked once in Scarborough. It's fucking horrendous.
Awful. It's awful.
You're spaced out. It's like you're not there. It's like survival instinct kicks in.
It was basically, for me, it was because I went for a meal. Yep. I remember leaving the restaurant and then I only remember like little flashes come to me for the rest of the night, and that's it. And I actually woke up here.
Yeah, Luke was telling me.
Luke had to come and get me.
Yeah, Luke was telling me that he had to look after you.
Yeah, even Luke was saying, like, he said to me the next morning, he said, I've seen you drunk before, I've seen you wasted, but that was something different.
You know, it's bad when Luke goes, you're fucked.
Yeah. But that's it. The whole of the next day, I literally I was pissing sweat, but shivering like mad.
Oh my God.
I had about 3 panic attacks because I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I, at one point, because I was around at my cousin's, because we were just watching football, like, and I was trying to concentrate, and I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And at one point, I was just like, I need to throw up.
Oh, yeah.
But like my body wouldn't work, so I literally had to crawl to the toilet. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. Like, yeah, but it's weird. Like, I haven't drank since.
I'm not drinking till Christmas.
Yeah, well, that's it. It was that bad. It's actually put me off drinking for a while.
Yeah, I'm not doing it till Christmas.
The thought of going and drinking somewhere scares me.
You know, Halloween night.
Yeah.
I was so bad the next day. It was horrific. But then I've also noticed recently that my temperament changes when I drink. So like I change as a person when I start saying stuff I maybe shouldn't say.
Yeah.
I'm not as measured as I can be.
Well, it's alcohol. That's what alcohol
lowers.
does.
It just lowers or gets
lowers
rid of your inhibitions.
Doesn't it? Yeah. And one of the things that I got to have been told about alcohol when discussing it in certain environments, it's that it makes you more impulsive.
Yeah.
To certain things.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. Without going into...
Apparently I was quite... I was okay on that night. I wasn't too drunk. Apparently, I didn't seem that drunk, and I seemed quite normal.
It's funny. It's weird when you get to a house party as well, because obviously you're at a house party, you're drinking, and then all of a sudden, as soon as you hit the fresh air, that's when it just goes.
Yeah, it's weird. Like when I got home the next day, the next day I was throwing up during the day. I was like, I can't handle this anymore. So I've sworn it off until Christmas.
We are getting old, so yeah, it is getting worse for us.
It's going to be my 26th birthday on the 27th of November. Yeah, I'll be 26 years old.
You see, I have a problem where I go from being really fine to just really drunk like that.
Oh yeah, I do that. Yeah.
Bad.
I used to be able to measure. So I used to be able to measure, or not measure, but I used to be able to know. Like there's a scale of me getting drunk, and I could recognize it. Now it just goes straight drinking, feeling fairly sober. You know, maybe a little bit like tipsy, and then I go full bore white girl wasted.
I just forget everything.
See, the funny thing is with me recently is I've always, for the most part, there has been obviously nights where you just take it far too far and you just end up a total mess. But usually I've been quite able to handle my drink, and I've managed to pace myself and making sure I get to a nice drunk point, and I've been fine. And the next day I felt fine. I can get up and do things.
Yeah.
But recently, the past couple of years, I would say it has got to the point where it's the hangover that kills me.
Yeah, hangover's fucked me up as well.
It actually has gotten to the point where, definitely in the last year, every time I drank, I was making sure I had a pint of water for every 1 or 2 drinks, alcoholic drinks that I had. But the hangovers were getting worse, despite the fact I was doing that and I was
even though you were
myself.
hydrating yourself.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It might be the electrolytes, because apparently what happens is the reason, one of the reasons why you're when you get really hungover is because you pee a lot, because it's a diuretic, is alcohol. So what happens is it strips out all the electrolytes in your body, and you have to try and get them back in. But when you just drink water, it doesn't really absorb back in because there's no electrolytes left. So what you should be doing is drinking coconut water, because it's the most rehydrating liquid on the planet for us.
Right.
So if you drink coconut water, it's got all the electrolytes that you need.
Yeah, but I don't like coconut.
Just gun it, or put some other flavouring in with it, and then just gun it. That's what I'd do.
Someone said to me the other day, "Oh, you can't have coconut, can you? Because it's a nut."
It's like, not a nut.
No, it's not a nut. Just because it has the word nut in it doesn't mean it's a nut.
Yeah,
which is weird. It's an understandable
Brazil nuts are
mistake to make.
seeds.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's one of them. I think it's almonds. Almonds are actually a nut.
They're a seed as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
That we have these distinctions.
Because I've had almond milk before accidentally, and I was like, "Oh, I'm fine."
Was it that you're allergic to? Is it peanuts?
Yeah, peanuts.
It's just peanuts. Cashews or
I can't remember.
How do we know?
I've just stayed clear of all nuts.
So if
I had severe allergic reactions when I was younger to salted peanuts, and I think there was some other kind of nut, but I can't remember what it was.
If we rub a peanut on your hand, would your hand just go red?
Yeah.
If I rub my penis on your hand, would it go red?
That's disgusting, Josh.
In a good way. Anyway, no, yeah, not last Christmas, the Christmas before. It's quite funny, actually, because this is just a story of one of the worst Christmases you can have. I woke up on Christmas Day and I had a migraine.
Right.
Like a really bad migraine. I was throwing up. I could barely get out of bed. I managed to force myself because I was like, it's Christmas Day, I'm going to do it. Got taken round to my auntie's house. She had because they always have like a few snacks on the tables. One of them was peanuts.
Oh no.
And then she was just like, oh, give us a kiss. And I was like, no, well, you've had peanuts, so I'm not giving you, she wanted to give us a kiss on the cheek or whatever. And I was just like, well, no, you've had peanuts. I'll have an allergic reaction. And they have this thing where it's just like, oh, you're just being dramatic. It's like, no, I will have an allergic reaction. And she was like, no, yeah, but you've probably outgrown it. I was like, right. And they were like, you need to go get it tested at the doctor's to see if you've outgrown it. I went, yeah, and I'll do that at the doctor's.
Not with you.
I'll do that in a controlled environment. Thank you very much. Anyway, about 5 minutes later, she grabs my arm and she's rubbed peanuts all up my arm to test. And I was just like, brilliant. Thanks for that. Not only have I now got a migraine, have I got a migraine? I'm not feeling very well. I've now got peanuts all up my arm. Straight away, massive rash all up my arm.
Really?
Yep.
Fucking hell.
And she felt, to be fair to her, she felt really bad about it.
She should feel fucking horrific.
She should have felt really bad about it.
I would have punched that bitch right in the face.
It was probably a good job I had a migraine at that point and had no energy. But so Q going back to my mum's house where I was just really looking forward to having my Christmas dinner. I was so ill. I had 2 bites and I had to go to bed.
Really?
Yeah.
That's bad.
And then the next day I went back to my flat and at 4:00 the next morning we were flooded out.
Oh yeah.
That was a bad Christmas.
We had the Boxing Day floods here in York.
Yep.
Where basically,
and I was unfortunately a victim of them.
The Foss River just burst its banks and just flooded everything.
Yeah, because they
shut the Foss barrier.
They shut the Foss barrier off because they didn't fix it during the year when they knew it was faulty.
Yeah.
York Council.
They know how to certainly look after us. So yeah, that's that. We did talk around about the obviously the abuse stuff.
Yep.
That happened.
Terrible
stuff is going on.
Hopefully, no more. Not that no more come out. If other ones have happened, hopefully, if it is accusations come out and they are found to be true, and hopefully justice is done. But hopefully there are no more cases of anything that have happened.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah,
like, we don't want more people to be abused.
Yeah,
that's a better way. I think that's a good way of putting it. Is that we don't want people to have been abused, because being abused, like sexually abused, etc., is horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't want any of that. But we don't want everyone just leaping straight away to, you're a sexual, you're a paedophile, or you're a sexual predator, or you've committed sexual harassment. The interesting bit about all this, though, some of the people have come out like 30 years after saying that this has happened, but the statute of limitations up, so they can't be tried as criminals.
Yeah.
So there's no criminal cases here for, like, Kevin Spacey's incident happened 30 years ago.
Yep.
Statute of limitation, I believe, is like 15 years on certain like sexual harassment and rape and stuff like that.
Right.
So they can't be done criminally. However, there can be a civil case brought against them where the individual can say, I want some money from you. And Kevin Spacey might have to pay it.
Yeah.
So anyone who doesn't know, there's a gentleman who accused Kevin Spacey of sexually assaulting him whilst he was 14 years old, and Kevin Spacey was a much younger man. I think he was like 30.
He was 20 odd.
Oh, 20 odd,
yeah.
Sorry. So he was 20. They say he was 20 something.
20, 30, yeah.
20, 30, something like that. And basically what happened was that there was a party in LA, in Hollywood, and these 14-year-old boys were all there for some weird reason.
No, apparently it was only him. He was the only
14-year-old boy. I thought there was other ones there.
No.
But he was there for some... He was there. He was there for some reason, and he was enjoying the party with everybody else. But then he felt ill, and then he went to go lie down in a bedroom. Yeah. What he didn't know is it was Kevin Spacey's bedroom. So Kevin Spacey came up like 2 or 3 hours later.
Yeah, it was
pissed out
after everybody was gone.
When he was super, like, he'd been doing like drugs and been smoking weed probably, and had been having drink, and like he was quite drunk apparently. And he came in, the guy woke up, and then Kevin Spacey like got on top of him and started kissing him and trying to get with him, grinding on him, basically, is the way I'd put it. And then the guy was like, no, I don't want to do it. And then Kevin Spacey went, fine, then rolled over and went to sleep. So he's got accused of sexually assaulting that man. Now, we don't. And the interesting bit is Kevin Spacey came out very maturely about it and went, I don't know. I don't remember that, but if I did do it, I'm sincerely apologise. But then went, I'm gay, by the way.
Yeah.
At the end. It's like he's using the justification of him being a homosexual, saying that that's the reason why I sexually assaulted somebody, or allegedly sexually assaulted somebody. And a lot of the LGBTQ plus community have accused him of basically trying to divert it, or actually giving that community a bad name. Like saying that, basically, where people, like a lot of people say, like, oh, if you're a homosexual, then, like, there used to be that stigma saying that homosexuals used to, like, be paedophiles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible stigma to have about your sexuality.
Absolutely.
If that was the same way, if that was the same idea, but for straight people, and people would be kicking off loads. So people felt sorry, but he was very mature in the way he just went. Like, if he just said, "Look, it sounds like I was very drunk. I don't have any recollection of doing this. I apologise profusely. I should never have done it. Like, I accept every and all punishment I receive."
Yeah.
And if he left it there, he probably could have styled out of it. Okay.
Yeah, they were saying. Like, I remember I was watching the news when it actually first when it first came out. I can't remember what the two blokes on the news here were discussing it, but they were saying, if he's done that off his own back, then he needs to get a publicist. If he's got a publicist and his publicist told him to do that, then he needs to fire his publicist.
Yeah, fire that publicist.
Yeah, it's very, very strange. But obviously, I mean, his career's finished now.
Yeah, well,
without a doubt.
They've stopped House of Cards on Netflix, and they're editing him out of the film. He's going to be appearing in.
Right, okay.
So they're putting another actor in.
Right. But House of Cards, that one, they were on their last season anyway. They were going to end it at that point anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because a lot of people have now criticised the the producers of House of Cards
for keeping them on.
No, by turning around and going, "Oh, we're ending it because of this," and it's like, no, you've already announced that you were ending it.
Yeah.
So you're just using this horrific event
to publicising it. Yeah. People will watch it because
which is wrong.
People watch it. It's like they watch the O.J. Simpson trial. It's one of the most watched events in the American public.
Yep.
Like the Jimmy Savile documentary that Louis Theroux has done is one of the most watched documentaries.
Yeah.
So basically, they're becoming famous off the back of...
Side note, have you seen the petition that was going around to get Louis Theroux knighted?
Yes, I did. Yeah, well, I could see that, because he's
very, very, very good.
Yeah,
very good.
He's better than fucking Ross Kemp. I'll put that. I'll give him that. Fucking Ross Kemp's going on, just running around fucking Syria like, oh, it's all fucking terrible. We're getting shot at by snipers. Louis Theroux's like, you know what I'm going to do, mate? I'm going to go into a favela, and I'm going to sit down with a crime boss, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to talk to him like he's a human being. Mm-hmm. Not just going, oh, it's a shit situation. And
Ross Kemp, he's going around Syria. Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, we know.
We've seen the fucking news. We've seen the fucking news, mate. Whilst Louis Theroux's like trying to actually understand why it's terrible, rather than just go in there and being in danger.
And then another very, very quick segue on documentaries. Have you seen that Alan Shearer's got a BBC documentary coming out soon?
About what? About
the
him
effects,
being a footballer?
Pardon?
About him being a footballer?
No, the effects of heading the ball on dementia. Dementia in footballers.
Shit. Well, it's interesting because he might have like CTE. Like CTE is the concussion disease where it causes degradation of your brain cells due to concussive injuries against your brain.
There was the Will Smith film recently
called Concussion.
And that was about the NFL because that was a true story,
because they covered up the fact that football players were suffering from dementia and other mental illnesses.
Yep. And so basically Shearer's done a documentary on a very similar thing.
I don't know how that's going to do. Is it funded by? Is it the BBC got the rights to it?
Pretty sure it's BBC. Yeah.
Okay, it'll do okay then.
Yeah.
If it's on BBC, it'll do right. If it's not on BBC, it's not going to do well. I'll tell you that now. Maybe Channel 4 will pick it up, but
But I think he is contracted to the BBC, so because he does Match of the Day.
He's one of the most premier strikers for one of. Let's not say he's the
what.
So he's
Shearer?
one. Yeah.
No, he is. Is
he the highest goal scorer ever for the Premiership?
Premier League, yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
The Premiership, he's the highest goal scorer ever.
Yes.
Fucking hell, Newcastle United. Why'd you get rid of him?
He retired.
Yeah, you shouldn't have.
And that's the thing about it, because he is the highest. He's the man with the striker with the most goals in the Premier League. The highest goal scorer for Newcastle United, and he did it in his career in a Newcastle United side that for the vast majority of his career was fucking shite.
It's just he was good.
He was amazing. Yeah, he's an amazing footballer, and he was plagued by injuries as well.
Well, he might have a problem with his brain, unfortunately, which is quite sad. But this is what the world. I mean, this is what you sign up to when you do professional sports. You are putting yourself through physical.
Yeah,
injuries.
well, they say it. There's a lot of sportsmen that have come out after their careers and said, "Oh yeah, I am in pain every day. I absolutely hate it." There's a lot of bodybuilders like Tom Hardy. I mean, he's not a sportsman, but he did a lot of his bodybuilding for when he played Bane. And he's come out now and has said that, I ache every day after doing that.
He's taken apparently he said he's taken years off his life doing it. This is the interesting bit. When you do stuff like that, basically what you're doing is you're borrowing time from the future and you don't get it back.
It's like, if you do it in a steady pace and you maintain, then you'll be fine. You'll actually elongate your life. Yeah. But with these actors, with the constant gaining and
Christian
dropping
Bale.
of weight. Christian Bale, he's going to be fucked.
When he went from the machinist to Batman, fucking hell.
And then back down for the fighter, and then back up again for Batman.
Yeah.
and then put on a shitload of weight for American Hustle.
Oh, he had to get fat, didn't he? Yeah.
Like he's
very determined against his craft, but he's a mental person because he beat the fuck out of his mum and his wife once. Allegedly, sorry.
Allegedly.
I apologise.
I don't think that was ever proven.
Well, it might have just been. I
could be wrong there, but I don't think that was ever proven.
I think it might have just been dropped or something like that.
Yeah, but so allegedly.
Allegedly, let's keep it that way.
He is a mental person, a phenomenal actor.
American
but
Psycho.
Also, you see all this stuff that he does in the news where he it was a young cancer patient, a young boy.
Yeah.
Who was a massive Batman fan.
Yeah.
He went to visit them in the hospital, and then he forked out for him and his entire family to go with Christian Bale to one of the Disneyland resorts in America.
That's nice. That is quite nice. I mean, the thing is, remember when there was that mass shooting that happened at one of the theatres of Batman?
Yeah, he went and visited all of the
everyone
victims,
was all of the cast went apparently. Yeah. All the cast went, and it wasn't recorded.
No,
it was just like, we're just going to go. We don't want any press being there. Yep. They refused to have press in there.
Like Steve Buscemi,
who was one of he used to be a fireman.
Yep.
And then 9/11 happened, and he went to his old fire station and said, "How can I help?" And he put on a fire, and then the press were coming around saying, "Oh, it's Steve Buscemi, fuck, let's go talk to him."
And he was just like, "No."
He went, "Fuck off, I've got a job to do."
Yeah.
He didn't give a fuck. But I saw The Death of Stalin, by the way, with him in it.
Oh, any good?
It was fucking brilliant. Very funny. Very smart, very funny, and it's a good way of learning some history.
Steve Buscemi is just one of those where you can just watch whatever he's in and you know it's going to be good.
I don't know, Armageddon wasn't good.
Armageddon was good in a way. Whereas it's one of those where you're like, oh, this is so cheesy, but it's enjoyable.
I don't know. I didn't enjoy Armageddon, if I'm honest. I didn't. You know what? I really didn't like Liv Tyler. I'm not a fan of Liv Tyler. She was in Gunpowder, like the BBC drama with Kit Harington.
Yeah.
And I was not impressed.
As soon as she came on, like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, because I was like, Liv Tyler.
She's good as Arwen.
Yeah, she's good in Lord of the Rings. I'll give her that. Lord of the Rings, that was her thing. But I can't, like, when she was in Gunpowder, I was like, no. Leave it out, love. Leave it out. Just stop doing what you're doing.
Try and do a British accent. Or did she play an American in it?
She was British.
Oh.
There's no America during that time, mate. There kind of was, actually.
We discovered it by that point, hadn't we?
Yes. I'm terrible with history. Some people were moving over there, but it wasn't like okay. King Charles. It was more like heavily settled during King Charles.
Right.
King Charles's era, but then it was interesting.
Just putting out there, guys, I am terrible with history. Apart from
that's what my degree was in.
Apart from World War II.
Apart from World War II?
I don't know. I've always been fascinated by World War II.
World War II is one of the most. It's probably the best example of the closest we ever got to completely obliterating the entire planet.
Yep.
Like that's how we were that close to doing it.
World War II and then the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Cuban Missile Crisis we were close to. There's another event that happened during the 80s where the Russians were ready to just nuke everyone because the Americans were doing a war game, but then the documents of the war game were discovered by East German spies, and they thought it was a real plan for the Americans to basically actualize all of it. So they were like ready to go, and then the Americans didn't even know. No one knew. Only the Russians then pulled back because they went, "Oh, hang on, they're meant to be attacking now. How come they haven't attacked us?" Yeah, that was it. It was they got that close. So what the Americans were doing was the CIA, the Army, the Air Force. Everyone was like, "This is how we'd attack Russia, or this is how we'd defend Russia. We do a preemptive strike on certain strategic targets, take control of them, and then when Russia tried to attack us, we then nuke them all." So what they do is they just nuke. They take out parts of Germany, deliberately, basically nuke Germany. So that they would funnel them into a specific area and then would isolate all of the Russians that came in and then wipe them out with combined armed forces, and you turn Germany into a nuclear wasteland.
Right.
But that was the war game. So a lot of people don't know this. There's a division in the CIA whose entire job is to think of every single possible situation that could happen to America and how to successfully win.
They're like a whole little department of Batmans, of Bruce Wayne's. Think about every scenario. And how to beat it.
Yeah, so it was.
But I do love that idea that the Russians are just sat there, they're ready to go, and then one of them's just
they were geared. They were geared up. There was like all nuclear.
Just like, should we?
All their nuclear silos were open. All their bombers were in the air. Everything was in. They were red. Everything was on red alert. They were that close.
Mental.
They were that close. And they said if one American ship or one British or something like that there would have been one conflict that happened, that would have been it. One scenario. So if one American plane had strayed into Russian airspace, or if one ship had strayed into their waters, World War III, and we wouldn't be here. All the nukes would have gone. Germany would have been just decimated straight away.
Christ.
The weird bit was America said that they would enact the war game in a time of crisis. If Russia actually started attacking, they would enact the war game. That's how they said that for America. That was the best solution. But then somebody went, "What about for the rest of the world?" And they went, "America's our top priority." That's chilling, isn't it? America basically was willing to nuke an entire country, a third country who's one of their allies. So Germany at that point was an ally. So West Germany was an ally of theirs. They were willing to sacrifice millions and millions of people in Western Europe to stop the Soviet Union.
That's the American mentality.
That is the American mentality. Yeah. Keep all wars and battles on somebody else's shores. Yeah. Never have them on your own shore. They've never had a battle on their own shores against an enemy since the War of Independence against Britain.
Yep.
They've only ever had conflicts with Mexico. Apart from sorry, I should say they've only ever had a conflict with Mexico. And that wasn't really a very good one by Mexico, if I'm honest. Yeah. And then they fought every other war basically on somebody else's soil. So like the Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam.
So to be fair, if a war
Korea.
breaks out, just go to America.
Yeah, you're pretty safe in America.
Yeah,
you are fucking pretty safe in America.
Well, you're safe from the war, but not from the American people.
No, not from the people who decided to just shoot people randomly. There was a shooting in Texas.
Yeah, there was.
The church shooting, which we'll bring it up. It's not a very happy subject, but we'll bring it up and just basically send our condolences to the people of Texas. 2 gunmen went in and just started shooting people in a church.
Yep. And they got shot down themselves by civilians, wasn't it?
Was it civilians who did it? There's 2 guys. I know they were chased out by 2 guys.
They were chased out by 2 guys, the civilians. They shot the attackers dead, and because that's
everyone in Texas is packing.
Yeah,
everyone has got a gun.
Unfortunate. What's the word? Sort of outcome of it. A lot of people have now gone and said, "Well, yeah, look what happens when we do have guns. People's lives were saved," and it's just like, no, people's lives were taken in the first place.
Well, if they need to just look at our gun crime. What's our gun crime like? Little to none.
Swipe fuck all. Yeah.
Little to none. Like
swipe fuck all. Swite.
Yeah,
I don't know what I was going for.
I don't know what you were going for at all. But like our gun crime in Britain.
Sweet.
There
all.
You go.
Yeah.
Is like our gun crime's almost nothing. In fact, it's gotten to a point where terrorists don't try and use guns in Britain because we're so tightly regulated on guns.
Yep.
Like they just try and ram cars into people and stab people. That's what's happened in the last terrorist attack.
Because it's funny because our gun crime is practically zero. Our knife crime is
massively high.
Yep,
it's gigantic compared to America. It's a higher percentage than in America.
if Mickey was here, you'd hear 3D printing, man.
Oh yeah, where he sent us an article. He sent us an article where a journalist was able to print a fully working AR-15.
Yeah.
Because here's an interesting bit. In America, you don't have to have a license to buy ammunition.
Nope.
So you can just buy ammunition. So the guy 3D printed got the schematics, downloaded them, put them into a 3D printer, printed it out, and then just bought the ammunition and no one asked anything about it. It was fucking scary. And then it fully working, fired it a few times, worked perfectly. Like it had been made in the factory.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. Like what you can do now with modern technology is absolutely insane. So yeah, should we go on to MMA?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the world of mixed martial arts has been quite turbulent recently. We did have a UFC event last night. I just want to pull up the actual name of the event. It was UFC Norfolk, because it was in Norfolk in America. It was an interesting one.
Oh, I thought you meant Norfolk over here.
No, you couldn't get anyone to fight in Norfolk. It's been quite turbulent, basically, because you've obviously had the events of 217 where you had all three champions were dethroned. Sorry, were dethroned, and you had those shock results of Rose Namajunas obviously knocking out Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and you had TJ Dillashaw beat Cody Garbrandt. GSP versus Michael Bisping I thought GSP was going to win, but I didn't think he was going to stop him. That's what surprised me. The interesting bit now, however, that's been announced is there's been a few fights that have been cut from the next card. I think it's 218 or 219. There's been some stuff happened. So Anderson Silva, the legend of mixed martial arts, is off the card because he's been flagged for doping again.
Yay.
Yes, so he got done the first time and he was suspended. And this is his second violation. So he was meant to be fighting Kelvin Gastelum. He was meant to fight him last time. Like this fight's been like ranged and rearranged like loads of times. So do you know who stepped in to take over the mantle, take up the challenge that is Kelvin Gastelum? Michael Bisping. Much respect to Michael Bisping. Do you know what he put? He put on his Instagram and he said, "Why not?" That's all he put. Why not? Full stop. I'm like, fucking hell, Michael Bisping, you're a gangster. Straight after getting basically knocked down and then choked out by a welterweight, you're now going to fight, because Kelvin Gastelum used to fight at welterweight, but he failed his weight cut like 2 or 3 times.
Right.
So then Dana White was like, you're going to the middleweight because you can't make weight at welterweight. So he forced him to go up to middleweight. And when he's fought some people, so he's beaten Vitor Belfort, but then he fought Chris Weidman, and it didn't go well for him. Like, he was doing all right to begin with, but then because Weidman is basically a light heavyweight who fights at middleweight, he then just got absolutely dominated by his superior, like his grappling. So Michael Bisping versus Kelvin Gastelum will be will take over where Anderson Silva versus Kelvin Gastelum should have been for 219. That is, that is interesting. Who do I think is going to win? With Michael Bisping having such a quick turnaround, because he got dropped in that fight, and then choked out. So he has taken damage, is what I'd say. So I would say Kelvin Gastelum, who's gone for a full training camp for training against probably the UFC's one of the most elite strikers in the middleweight division of Anderson Silva. He's going to be fighting Michael Bisping, who is basically a striker. But Michael Bisping recently beat Anderson Silva on his way to get the middleweight belt.
Right.
So if I had to pick who's going to win, I would say underdog Kelvin Gastelum. Because I think Kelvin Gastelum can put work against Michael Bisping. And Michael Bisping's not in the same position as he was. Because obviously, like, he's not a champion anymore. So he's going to have to take these fights now.
Were you saying before, though, that Michael Bisping's probably close to retirement?
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't retire after the George St. Pierre fight.
Right.
But he might, we don't know why. He might just be like, I want to get one last fight in before. One
last bit of glory.
Yeah, and if he beats Kelvin Gastelum, he's right back. That's the thing. Like, if he beats Kelvin Gastelum, he's back to where he kind of goes back into the middleweight contention.
Right.
But the problem is, the middleweight contenders now, you've got Whittaker, who is the challenger and has the interim belt, and basically Dana White saying that GSP has to fight Robert Whittaker. But like, if I'm GSP, like, he's getting called out by Tyron Woodley, who's the welterweight champion, and he's also the thought of that it could be a super fight against him and Conor. So it's like, where do you the UFC's like, well, we fucking, well, it's not the UFC, WME, who's owned by WWE, is like, we spent $4 million on this fucking company, or $4 billion, I should say. We spent $4 billion to purchase this company. We need to make some fucking quick cash. So the quick cash you want to do is GSP versus Conor.
Yeah.
Because that's a big selling event, because you've got two of your biggest pay-per-view stars. You've got Conor, who's the biggest pay-per-view star, and then the second best one, which is GSP. Put them together. You've got all of Canada will watch, all of Ireland will watch, and America will watch.
Yeah. And a lot of the UK.
A lot of the UK. I'm a big GSP fan. Like, when I grew up, it was GSP who was the most dominant welterweight, and he dominated for a fucking long time. And then he just stepped away for 4 years, comes back and just beats Michael Bisping. So I'm a bit like, I would like to see it for him versus Conor.
Conor's been a bit quiet recently.
No, he hasn't.
Has he not?
So this is the bit I was going to go on to. This is my next bit. Conor McGregor. So there was Bama something Dublin, and it was also, it was a Bellator event as well. So what basically Bellator has done is they went to Bama and went, let's do an event. Let's do an event together, because you guys know what you're doing in Britain, but we can bring in the bigger like moniker, the bigger name. And basically, one of the guys who in Dublin, one of the guys who trains with Conor, won his fight, and Conor ran from the seats, jumped the cage, jumped into the guy's arms, and was celebrating with him. So he just jumped in the cage. No one was like, what the fuck's Conor? Is he clean jumped the cage? And then Mark Goddard, who he's already had a falling out with previously when his teammate Artem Lobov fought Andrew Feely, and Mark Goddard basically was shouting at Conor to say, sit down, you're not, because Conor was shouting into the cage, giving him feedback, or trying to corner him, and he went, you're not a cornerman, because you're only allowed 3.
Yeah. You're
not a cornerman, sit down. And Conor was like, oh, sorry, mate, I'll sit down. And then basically what happened was Mark Goddard, who was officiating for the fight, was the referee for the fight. He like pushed Conor away from, like pulled them apart and pushed them away. And then he went over to the guy who had been basically dropped and finished by Conor's friend. And then Conor ran over the other side, from the other side of the cage, and fucking shoved him and started like trying to slap at him and started trying to have a go at him. What, the ref? The ref, yeah.
Oh, Conor.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Don't have to fight Tony if you're banned.
Yeah, true.
Because they might not let it. Somebody might, I don't know, slap a lawsuit on him or something. Like that. I don't think. To be honest, Mark Goddard was just like, I'm only interested in keeping the sanctity and the sort of, I'm only interested in the purity of mixed martial arts. So I don't think he really cared, because it's not like Conor hit him. But I think he probably, some commission somewhere, I don't think it's going to be Nevada states or any other states, commission states in America will do it. But it might be like a British one, or like an Irish commission will be like, oh, you're not allowed to fight. And he's going to go, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't fight. The reason why he doesn't fight in Ireland, a lot of people don't know this, is the taxation in Ireland on fighters is gigantic compared to Las Vegas, where it's very cheap. In America, it's so much cheaper for him to fight in America than it is to fight in Ireland.
He'd probably save that for his retirement fight, I bet.
Oh yeah, he'll just do it in like Croke Park or something like that, Ireland's biggest stadium. But then the logistics of Croke Park is like, well, it's not called Croke Park anyway. It's like the 3 Arena, because all the companies are now putting their brands to flipping stuff. Yeah. But I used to know it's Croke Park because it was where the Irish rugby team used to play.
Right.
But he could sell out a Dublin arena, easy. Sell a Dublin arena. He would smash any boxing, like any like, because was it that Anthony Joshua did 90,000 was his gate?
Yeah.
He would kill that, like because it's a massive stadium in Ireland. And I think, how many people can you fit in Wembley?
90,000.
How many? But I thought there was bigger capacity places than that. I thought there was anyway.
What, in the UK?
Yeah.
No.
Isn't there? No. Oh, it's interesting. Ireland there is. You could sell a fucking gigantic arena. Like,
no,
I think
90,000 is the biggest. Then it's Old Trafford with 70,000.
Interesting. I thought like Twickenham might be bigger.
I don't think
Josh, could you just Google the size of the biggest size? Could you Google the biggest stadium?
Yeah, put UK capacity stadiums.
Biggest capacity stadium, something like that. Because I want to see what the biggest one would be, and then could you compare it to America?
God,
Thanks.
they're in America.
That's what I'm thinking.
Fucking
American,
massive.
yeah. That's why you can sell certain things. You can sell like football, like American football. You can make a lot of money out of it because you've got that many people all together paying tickets.
Yep.
Even if they pay like 20 quid a ticket, you have 500,000 people in there.
Yeah, and you can guarantee that'll be more than 20 quid.
Yeah, you can guarantee it'd be like $50,
Probably,
$50, $60,
probably more than that.
$100, something like that. Yeah.
But it's like you say, because it's Arsenal have a 60-odd thousand capacity stadium in the Emirates, and they're the ones that are paying the most. I think they're paying like 90 quid a ticket.
I'm surprised they haven't tried to expand it.
No, well, they only recently built it a few years back.
Have you got any results, Josh?
So Wimbledon, their capacity is 90,000.
Wimbledon? 90,000?
As in, no. Is that
in the tennis?
Is that combined with all the courts?
Must be combined.
Yeah, that must be combined because Wimbledon's tiny.
So what about like biggest? So that's the biggest stage. That's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well,
I'll take that.
I think that's combined though.
Okay, so
like,
so you never know.
Could you check the capacity of Wembley or Twickenham for us, please?
Yeah. Sure.
Thanks.
Wembley capacity is definitely 90,000.
Yeah, and then I just want to know what the biggest stadium there is in the UK.
It will be Wembley or Twickenham.
It'd be just interesting to see, because like because they're going to be announcing that because the UFC. Here's another bit I'm segueing over to is that
I misread that. It's Wembley.
It's Wembley. Yeah. So Wembley's 90,000.
90.
Right. Okay. Twickenham. You fucking idiot.
What's Twickenham then?
82.
82 is not too far behind. A lot of people like rugby. Yeah. So the next bits are related to UK stadiums. The reason why is the UFC were trying to get a fight night in Britain because of what Darren Till basically did to Donald Cowboy Cerrone, where basically knocked him the fuck out. And they're trying basically to get on the hype train of Darren Till. So they were saying they were trying to get Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I did a tweet about this where they're trying to do is get the fight with him and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson would fight. Basically, two of the most elite strikers in the welterweight division and get them to fight.
And they're both British.
No, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's American.
Right, okay.
But Thompson was like, nope, don't want to do it. Tell you why. I can understand why. He's at the top of the heap when it comes to it, and he's not going to do what Donald fucking did, which is just take a fight against nobody, a no-name. No offense to Darren Till, but compared to Wonderboy Thompson, compared to Darren Till, there's a disparity in the popularity. Also, Wonderboy has beaten Johnny Hendricks. He's beaten Jake Ellenberger. He's beaten Jorge Masvidal recently. So, like, he's beaten the who's who in the murderer's row of the welterweight division. The only person that Darren Till of a large name has beaten is Donald Cowboy Cerrone. So, like, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was like, you need to fight somebody else. You need to fight somebody of a big name, and then maybe you can fight me. Darren Till obviously was like, you're being a little bitch. And Darren Till is a very outspoken scouser. Like, super outspoken.
Aren't they all?
I'd be surprised if you meet a quiet scouser, you're worried. But he was like, he was basically being like, you're a pussy, you know, you're not gonna do anything. But then Gunnar Nelson, the Icelandic fucking choke master, is what I like to call him. He was like, let's fight. And Darren Till went, yeah, let's go, motherfucker. And then I think Gunnar went, where do you want to do it? And he went, wherever. I don't give a fuck. Wherever. Was Darren Till answering between them. So then the UFC have been trying to get an event in Britain. So they want to do it in Liverpool, which is Darren Till's hometown.
Yeah. So
but then the problem is it's not going to be in. I don't think it's going to be there. I think it's going to be in another place.
Right.
But the problem they've got is
I think there is an Echo Arena in Liverpool.
I think it's the Echo Arena. That's it. So it's the Echo Arena. So the problem is that Cage Warriors have got an event in the Echo Arena that they've announced. They've subsequently changed where they're having that event. They've moved Cage Warriors to London.
Right.
And the UFC are going to be, hopefully, in the Echo Arena with Darren Till as the headliner.
Right.
And I'm like, yes, because I'm on the Darren Till hype train. I saw he did
tickets for that probably wouldn't be too extortionate, would they?
It would. I don't know if it would be a full, like, I don't know if it would be a pay-per-view one, because if it's a big UFC, like 220 or something like that, they can be expensive.
Okay, yeah.
But if it's like a UFC fight night, like, I'm there. But then they're doing a UFC event in London. Remember I sent you that message?
Yes.
Where you could pre-sign up to it. I've done that. So I can get the tickets.
All right, cool.
So we prospectively in the new year could go to London and watch a UFC event. But I was like when I saw that, Gunnar Nelson, elite level grappler, like competes in the ADCC, Abu Dhabi Combat Club, and has done very well. He's also a very good striker. A lot of people don't they underrate his striking, but he's a karate style kind of striker. All he wants to do is knock you down to then get on your back and choke you unconscious. But the interesting thing about Gunnar Nelson is a lot of people wrap their hands and then put the MMA gloves on. He has no hand wraps. So he's just got the gloves on. It's so he can choke you better.
Right.
Because there's not as much... The problem with with the gloves is they stop you from being able to slide in rear naked chokes because they're big and bulky because your hand is quite thin, so you can slide it down the back of someone's neck. But when you've got big... even like an MMA glove, it's still quite bulky, so you can't slide it in between it if they know how to defend a choke really well. But Darren Till is a big old boy. Let's put it that way. He is a big old boy. He basically is a light heavyweight who fights at welterweight, but he's very scientific with the way he cuts weight. Like his team is Team Coban or something like that. I'm not sure the pronunciation, and they've been churning out some absolute beasts. They recently, one of their other team members, Mike Grundy, who is a Commonwealth wrestling bronze medalist, gold medalist, I'm not sure what, but he basically medalled at the Commonwealth Games for Britain. He flew down to Brazil to have a fight for I don't know whether it was lightweight, welterweight, or I don't know what to have a championship fight down there. Flew down there, took the belt back home. Apparently his opponent didn't even turn up for the weigh-ins.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it wasn't there for the face-off, because you meant to do a face-off to promo it. Didn't do it. So then the mascot, who was in like a big outfit, was squared off with him, and then the mascot was like, yeah, it was like trying to do like the kind of WWE poses, like the kind of, and then Mike Grundy was like just laughing his head off, and I saw it on his Twitter feed, and it was quite. I mean, like he did that entire team that's now becoming a fucking powerhouse when it comes to the UK like MMA scene, where you've got guys. I mean, Mike Grundy is on the. If he wins more and more he wins, the more likely he goes into the UFC. And then you've got two people from the same team go to the UFC. And they're creating that powerhouse that could be like the UK's premier mixed martial arts team. And that would be great. That would be really good to see. So there could prospectively be, you have UFC in Liverpool, and then a few weeks after that, you have UFC in London.
Mm.
Oh. And then you've also got Cage Warriors in London.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are saying that UFC might do what they did, that Bellator did with Bama, and try to partner with them, because what they do is they have Cage Warriors on the UFC Fight Pass. So there could be a partnership there.
Just trying to kick things off, aren't they?
Yeah,
massively.
well, you think about it, it's a great way of feeding the UK talent into the UFC.
Yep.
But that's what Bellator have done with Bama. They're using the Bama's guys and feeding them into Bellator. It's a good idea to do. Yeah. But the actual results from this fight night, sorry, I should mention. I'll talk about the main ones, the actual like interesting ones. Sage Northcutt defeated Michael Quinones. Sage Northcutt, who is kind of the UFC poster boy.
Yeah.
Who got dismantled by Mickey Gall because he didn't have any ground game, basically. Now he trains at Uriah Faber's Ultimate Fitness, which is Team Alpha Male, basically. So he trains with the likes of Cody Garbrandt, Joey Benavidez, etc. And he beat him. You know, it's a unanimous decision. He did win. He didn't stop him, unfortunately, which I like to see when Sage Northcutt does it. But Sage Northcutt is trying to, they're doing the Creed films now instead of the Rocky films. Well, they're going to be making Creed 2, and they're going to have the son of the Russian guy.
Ivan Drago.
So yes, the son of Ivan Drago. They want to put Sage Northcutt as the son, because they did a side-by-side of Sage Northcutt and Ivan Drago.
They look fairly similar.
They look super similar.
Yeah.
Because Sage Northcutt is jacked. Like,
he is
like proper, like a...
Yeah, I've seen a picture of him where he's doing the bicep curl, and his biceps look fucking weird. Like, it's like his bicep goes up like that and then indents and then goes right. It's really bizarre. But he must have like 3% body fat or something like that.
Yes, he is very...
well, not that bad, but...
he has to cut... Obviously, he has to cut weight. I mean, that's the picture of his biceps there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
fucking
weird looking...
jacked.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's the photo of him being Ivan Drago against Creed. 'Cause Creed, Creed 2. 'Cause Creed 2 is the one with Ivan Drago. 'Cause Creed 2 is the one with Ivan Drago against Creed. 'Cause Creed 2 is the one with Ivan Drago against Creed. 'Cause Creed 2 is the one with Ivan Drago against Creed. 'Cause Creed 2 is the one with Ivan Drago against Creed. 'Cause Creed 2 is the one with Ivan Drago against Creed. 'Cause Creed 2 is the one with Ivan Drago against Creed. 'Cause Creed 2 is the one with Ivan Drago against Creed. 'Cause Creed 2 is the one with Ivan Drago against Creed. 'Cause Creed 2 is the one with Ivan Drago against Creed. 'Cause Creed 2 is the one with Ivan Drago against Creed. 'Cause Creed 2 is the one with Ivan Drago against Creed. 'Cause Creed 2
Yeah, I can see it.
You can see it because he
Yeah.
does look like who's the guy who played Ivan Drago in
Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren.
Lundgren.
Good pronunciation, mate.
Yep.
But yeah, he was. Yeah.
Sorry, Dolph.
Yeah, sorry, mate. He's an avid listener of the podcast.
Well,
Yeah.
you never know.
Hey.
He's just sat there now. He just says me mispronounce his name wrong and just looks at the video of me on YouTube and goes, "I must break you."
Yes. Thank you. I saw the joke come in, but I'm happy you made it. So yeah, that was,
could have got there in a quicker way.
Yes, you
It'd have been a lot better. But
other interesting bits was Clay Guida TKO Joe Lozon. It's interesting with Clay Guida because what he did was he TKO'd him.
Clay.
And then he instantly, as soon as the referee stopped it, he went and hugged Joe Lozon. So instantly stopped, hugged him, picked him up, and was like, oh, and it was like hugging him and being like really nice. And I was like, fucking hell, Clay. It's
What,
like
even though he's just unconscious.
no, I
can
think
get done for that now.
yes, you can, Wes. as Mr. Weinstein knows. Anyway, we'll move
and George
on.
Takei, apparently.
And George Takei, apparently. Fucking hell, that was rough.
Yeah.
So that was an
Just ask the
interesting.
barman. No, stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
You're being terrible now. So that was that was an interesting one. That when I saw
quick,
that,
move on.
yeah, when I saw that, I was like, why is he cuddling? Like, why doesn't he just walk off? Because he's making it harder for like the doctors and the refs to get at him.
It's weird.
Poor old. But Joe Lozon is like, I think he's done now.
Right.
I mean, he is a young kid, but he's been knocked out so many times. He's been knocked out by like Anthony Pettis with a head kick.
So he's like the Amir Khan of mixed martial arts.
Well, the thing is, he's got he has knocked out people. Like Joe Lozon has knocked people out, but he is a ground. He likes fighting on the ground. He submitted loads of people. He's also the guy who's got the most fight of the night bonuses of any active UFC fighter. So he does earn his money. It's just that now he's got his own gym and that. I think he needs to focus more on that and become more of a coach.
Yeah.
Because his performance is starting to slip. And he used to be one of the premier... I think he's a lightweight. Yeah, I think he used to be one of the premier lightweights.
Has there been any movement on Amir Khan moving into UFC?
I don't want to see him there.
I do.
I don't.
Hilarious.
I'm not that interested in watching a farce after the Conor versus Floyd fight.
Yeah. But we know it'd just be a very quick knockout.
Well, I don't think it would be. There wouldn't even be any striking. Whoever he fought would just pick him up, put him down, and just tap him instantly.
Yeah,
because
probably.
Amir Khan, admittedly, he probably has much better boxing than anyone in the UFC. Like I'll just put that straight out there. He probably does have much better
he's a
boxing.
trained boxer, isn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So his hands are going to be better than any person that's going to be at whatever weight category he competes at.
Yeah.
But his ground game, he's never trained.
No.
So if he was like. So if you come across somebody like there's certain people in boxing who have done like wrestling at college and then they went into boxing, or they've done other sports and then they went in to do boxing, like Deontay Wilder was going to be an American football player, but then his daughter became ill and he had to do boxing to earn money, and now he's an absolute superstar when it comes to American boxing. But they don't have the depth. They do not have the depth. You look at somebody like I think Gokhan Saki is a good example of what will happen. Like Gokhan Saki's an elite level heavyweight kickboxer, the Turkish fucking wrecking machine. He recently won his fight by knockout, but he didn't go up against a grappler. He went up against a striker. So the striker wanted to stand with him and see if he could beat Gokhan Saki, which is the stupidest fucking idea on the planet. You do not stand with a man whose entire game is to kick you to death. So when he fights somebody in the heavyweight division who is of a very good grappling level, like if he fought DC now, he would be lunched instantly because DC would pick him up, ragdoll him, and choke him unconscious like he did to Anthony Rumble Johnson, like he did to Dan Henderson. Like he will obliterate him. So and if Amir Khan went in against, probably he would compete at lightweight. I'd say he would just be absolutely lunched.
Yep.
Very quickly. Like, yeah. Oh, there's no debate there.
That's why it'd be funny.
Yeah, but I'm not interested in that. The most kind of interesting thing of me for this fight was Matt Brown versus Diego Sanchez. So Diego Sanchez has been in the UFC for a fucking long time. He's just the quintessential company man when it comes to the UFC. Matt Brown is now, I think he's retiring, basically. He should retire now after this because he's mentioned before when he got stopped before that he was going to be retiring. And this is going to be his last fight. He KO'd Diego Sanchez with a fucking beast of an elbow. It was absolutely horrific what he did to his face. Let me see if I can find it for you. It was a beautiful display of like what Matt Brown can do when he's given the opportunity to do it. Like Matt Brown, people will be like, "Oh, he shouldn't retire now. He should stay." I have the genuine opinion that he really shouldn't. Like he should go now that he's done. He's come back and he's won, and that's a very rare thing to do. In the UFC is to actually win on your retirement fight. So I genuinely think that should be it. Like he shouldn't do it. I think here we go. Once it loads. So he catches his kick, caught his kick, pins him up, puts his hand on his there, and then elbows him right above the ear and drops Diego Sanchez. Here we go in slow-mo. So catches the kick, puts hand, elbow straight onto the above his ear, and Diego Sanchez just slumps over, crumples straight to the ground. But that's what Matt Brown, the immortal Matt Brown, is just that level of savage. Like he is that elite. But when he's fought certain people, he doesn't know how to react. Like when he fought Cowboy Cerrone, it was a close fight, but Cowboy eventually head kick knocked him out. Then he's fought other people, and he's just not had the same level of performance. Like I felt sorry for him because he was saying like he's taken a lot of punishment. That's the thing about him; he takes a lot of punishment. So he's like, I can't do it for my health. I can't keep doing this. So I hope he retires and just steps away from the game and maybe goes into coaching now, because he would be a brilliant coach. But if he tries to have another fight in what is an already stacked kind of like welterweight kind of division, I think that he's not gonna end well. That's not gonna be a good story for him. And then the last sort of bit was the main event of it, which was Dustin Poirier versus Anthony Pettis. There was a lot of hype around this because Dustin Poirier has moved up from featherweight to lightweight, and Anthony Pettis tried to go down to featherweight and couldn't cut the weight. Right. Like his body couldn't do it. So he's come back to the lightweight, and he used to be the lightweight champion, and he used to like have loads of sponsorship behind him. He's Showtime Pettis. He was renowned for these flashy kicks and finishing fights, etc. And he was even on the box of Wheaties. Like he was on the box of like America's like favorite fucking cereal as a UFC champion, and people used to love him. But then he slipped. When he got finished by Rafael dos Anjos, and now Conor obviously is the lightweight champion, and he kind of slipped and he tried to go and do the featherweight championship, interim championship against Max Holloway, and he couldn't make the weight. But Dustin Poirier basically put on a display of his grinding style of fighting, and he's trains at American Top Team, and that's systemic of American Top Team, of that willingness to engage in things that you're not willing to engage in. Like that's what Dustin Poirier did. He was engaging with Anthony Pettis at short range, not so like when they were striking, he was going hammer and tong, just left, right, continuously blasting him. And Anthony Pettis couldn't get the distance to then display his excellent striking from the Taekwondo background, because he's renowned for like the Showtime kick where he runs along the cage and head kicked Benson Henderson. He's renowned for knocking out Donald Cowboy Cerrone with a body kick. He knocked out Joe Lozon, as I said earlier, with a head kick. He submitted the likes of Gilbert Melendez with a guillotine choke. He won the lightweight championship when he submitted Benson Henderson with an armbar. Benson Henderson, who is a jiu-jitsu black belt and he's competed in the ADCC World Championships, so he's a very good grappler. But this is the thing with he got beat by Dustin Poirier because Dustin Poirier outworked him and was better of a mixed martial artist, in my opinion, where he was able to mix up his striking and grappling in a way that Anthony Pettis couldn't predict. So he was picking him up and putting him down and ground and pounding him. But there was a lot of exchanges between positions where even Dustin Poirier, when he got on top of him, there was a time where Anthony Pettis was able to reverse the position and then got on top of Dustin Poirier and started landing shots. But then Dustin Poirier took him down again, and then when Pettis tried to reverse the position again, he'd learnt, so he downloaded the information and then took then went into full mount and then beat up on him for quite a long time. It was very impressive from Dustin Poirier. Where does he go next would be my question, because the lightweight division is still held up because of Conor. Because Conor might fight GSP, he might fight Tony Ferguson, he might fight Nate Diaz, he might fight Khabib. Like, this is the thing. So what I would say is it would be interesting with Dustin Poirier to see who he could fight next. Now, he's not going to fight... He could fight Eddie Alvarez again, but the last time they fought, there basically was a lot of controversy because Eddie Alvarez threw illegal's knees.
Right.
But it was a no contest because Eddie Alvarez was rocked at that point and just was fighting on pure instinct, so he didn't really think of the rule set. But Eddie Alvarez is fighting Justin Gaethje. So if he can get past Justin Gaethje, it could be them two fight again, which would be good. Or it could be that Dustin Poirier can maybe fight other people in the lightweight division. He could fight, for instance, the winner of Khabib versus Edson Barboza, because that's coming up soon. So if Edson Barboza or Khabib were to win, he could fight them, and then he could vie for fighting against the Tony Conor winner, for example. Because I think realistically for me, it should be, my guess would be, where I'd put my actual money, I would say Conor will fight Tony next. If I was going on, I want to make as much money as possible, and it's not my money, I would go it's Conor versus GSP for just the money sake. But then again, so Conor McGregor, as I said in the last podcast, he is this eternal wrench now that's in the UFC's gears.
Yeah.
And he can hold the entire company to ransom because he's such a pay-per-view draw, and because there's no other draw. Maybe GSP is there, but I think the only way that GSP could rival Conor in terms of draw is if he was more of a character, like Conor is, because he's a very big character. And also if he were to put, like, if he took on Whittaker and unified the belts, so the interim belt that Whittaker holds, he took Whittaker out, which I think is fucking hard to do. And if he took out Tyron Woodley, which again I think is ridiculously hard to do, then I could say that would be when the two should come together. But then Conor's got to take out he's got to take out Tony and maybe Nate, and maybe the winner of Khabib versus Edson Barboza. But do I think that's going to happen? I think Conor is probably going to fight Tony, and then he'd fight Nate, but it could be that he goes, I'm going to fight GSP if GSP beats whoever he's up against next. So it could be interesting. The world of MMA is very much up in the air because the WME don't know how to run MMA. They do not know how to do it. It's been proven. I mean, their promotion of fighters has been very poor. They're not looking after fighters. They're not promoting them. So the ones that are thriving are the ones who do self-promotion. And I think any budding MMA fighter, anyone who wants to get in this industry, needs to go, I need to be my own boss. I need to be my own publicist. I need to be my own agent. I need to be the one who's making me the top of the tier. I want to be the best of the best. Yeah. I'm going to call out people. I'm going to say shit and everything like Colby Covington. He wasn't regarded as a very good welterweight at all, but when he went on that fucking tirade against Brazilians, he's now ranked number 3. He could fight Tyron Woodley because of the other guys. I don't want to see Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight Woodley because they're bad dance partners. They do not fight well with each other. Very boring fights. Tyron Woodley's already beaten Damon Maia, and Colby Covington has beaten Damien Maia. So he's now number 3. So why not? And Tyron Woodley's like, I'm not fighting him. He's not going to do anything. But Colby Covington's like, you're a little pussy, and like, he's trying to call him out, and it's interesting. So we're in this just weird world. Conor McGregor's holding up fucking 3 weight divisions basically, but he's a very big draw because you either love him or you hate him. I love him because he's just so interesting. Like he's this weird, like, shiny unicorn studded in fucking diamonds when it comes to like, he's so weird, like, compared to every other person that's gone through the UFC.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens in the future. Cool. Should we let's move on to do you want to talk about the boxing stuff? We'll get to Star Wars. We'll get Star Wars, John.
Well, yeah, we'll get Star Wars. The only thing about the boxing was obviously the Twitter spat that happened between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. I don't know how it started. I'm trying to find exactly how it started.
Well, it's going to be surely Fury started it. Surely. Well,
I think someone tweeted something to Joshua. I think it might have been Wilder.
Right.
But yeah, it's weird how it came about. All of a sudden you saw this. It's like that Joshua's you know, his whole persona that he has within boxing was shattered because he tweeted at Tyson Fury, "Get fit, you fat fuck."
Oh no.
Yeah. And
the humble man is no longer humble. Listen, to be brutally honest, when you compare his prospective opponents, I'm talking about Joshua here, he's either got to fight Deontay Wilder, who just looks like an absolute killer right now, or Tyson Fury. Like, in the mind of the public, they either want him to fight Deontay Wilder, most people want him to fight Deontay Wilder, or Tyson Fury. And to be brutally honest, who would you rather fight? Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder? I'd rather fight fucking Fury, because Fury's coming off of... You know he's got mental health issues. And this isn't a dig at his mental health issues. This is purely from a tactical basis. You know he has mental health issues. It means mentally he may not be strong enough to take on a barrage of punishment like that you can put out if you're Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Secondary, he has been out for a long time, not training, and has let his weight slip.
Yeah.
And he's been probably doing all the drugs under the sun and spending all his money. So he's in a position now where he's not as physically fit as he used to be, and he hasn't kept the techniques that he's got sharp. So why not? And he's a big name. Tyson Fury's a big name on social media. He's a good draw.
Definitely. But I think the problem is it's whether they'll allow Fury to get his license back, because that's still very much up in the air, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like apparently he is gunning for a comeback in 2018, but it all depends on the licenses. And I honestly, but he's been saying for a while that is it, that he's done, and it's all strange. You don't know where they're going to go with it.
I hope he's not.
Apparently, they're close to.
He's an interesting character in the world of boxing.
Yeah. But apparently, they are close. They are in talks with Deontay Wilder, aren't they?
Yeah, Eddie Hearn said he's in talks with Deontay Wilder.
Yeah. So,
Eddie Hearn, who's basically the fucking British kingpin of boxing.
I think from Joshua's point of view, you would want to fight Fury because it probably would be another notch on the belt.
Yeah.
But
legitimizes you.
I think he also he said he wants Wilder because he wants to prove it. That he is the best.
I mean, Wilder is just this unorthodox... He's a giant man.
Yeah.
He's a giant man, but he's got this unorthodox wrecking style. Well, you saw the punches he was throwing, and I see him in training. He's throwing these... They're not clean, like, tight shots. These are looping, massive shots that he throws, and they are horrendously powerful. Even if you block it through the glove with your guard, it's coming through your fucking brain, and you're gonna get shook around. And when he I don't know what the guy he was fighting, who he'd beaten previously, Deontay Wilder, he fought the black guy, the short black guy. I can't remember his fucking name to save my life. But he fucking worked him. It was horrendous, the damage he was doing to him. I was like, this isn't fair. This isn't fair. It shouldn't be allowed.
But isn't this the thing about Wilder? He has fought nobody, hasn't he? It's just he's fought nobody.
I don't think he's fought. I mean, when you look at it in the heavyweight division, the heavyweight division hasn't been very good recently. I mean, I don't know if he fought. I don't think he fought Klitschko.
No, he didn't.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have the belt that he has, because he's the WBC champion. I think that's it. I think he's the WBC world champion. Right. So that's the only other belt that can be claimed by Joshua that needs to be claimed for him to be the unified heavyweight world champion. But I mean, if I'm honest, I would prefer, because I think Joshua could fight 2 times next year.
Yeah.
And I think it would be Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. If I was looking at it from a risk perspective as in his management, I wouldn't do Deontay Wilder first.
No.
I would do Tyson Fury first and then do Deontay Wilder, because the risk is that Deontay Wilder puts Joshua away and then he loses all his belts. Whilst Fury, he's fighting a guy who has no belts, but he's fighting somebody who's a big draw. The problem is the commissions are in the way.
Yeah.
So the commissions be like, you have to defend your belt against this person.
Yeah.
And and then he has to relinquish his belt if he doesn't want to fight him. So Fury had to do that, where he had to relinquish his belt.
Yep.
When he beat Vladimir Klitschko because he didn't want to fight somebody. I'm a bit like, why does it, like, the mandatory kind of like, we have to make you do it. I'm a bit like, meh. I think there should be the promoters, but then there shouldn't be a commission. That's where I don't like the fact there's commissions in boxing. I like that they officiate it, so there's like athletic commissions.
Yeah.
That's a good system. but that's all they should do is work on making sure that the sport is kept clean from performance enhancing drugs, and also disciplining anybody who steps outside of committing offences.
Yeah.
So if they let's say they go to a committee for unsportsmanlike conduct or illegal actions outside of the ring or illegal actions inside of the ring, that's where they should be. But that should be it. And they should do the refereeing and the judging. But then the whole of boxing is fucking crooked. You look at what happened to Canelo and Gennady Golovkin.
Yep.
Where Triple G got fucking robbed of a fight that he won because the commissions are dirty. And everyone knows they're dirty in fucking boxing. It's just thankful that we don't have much of that problem in MMA. However, that could change in the future.
Yeah.
Could change in the future. We don't know. But I would certainly say Joshua. I would say if I was going to do it, I'd do Fury and then Deontay Wilder.
It very much depends in the next couple of months. If Fury gets his license back, then it'll probably be Fury. If not, then it's going to be Wilder.
It's going to be Wilder, which is the only fight on the cards, really. Yeah. There's no other real names out there for him to fight.
Not at all.
Which is a shame, because I think Joshua would be great to see another. I mean, Deontay Wilder is that other heavyweight who is of a big threat and of a big name and has a big draw.
Yeah.
Or outside of him, who else is left? Because he's already beaten all the other heavyweights.
Yeah.
He's beaten. Who did he fight in Britain? He fought a British boxer. Was it Bellew? He fought and he beat him. Joshua, I'm talking about.
No, Dillian White.
So he beat Dillian White. Has he fought Bellew before?
No.
Well, there's an argument there. It could be Bellew in the future if he beats Hay.
Yeah. Well, there is that draw. If Hay can get through Bellew, then there's... Because David Hayes wanted to fight against Joshua for a while.
Yeah, or if Bellew beats Hay.
I don't think Bellew Joshua would ever happen, because Bellew's not in the same class.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's no other draw.
Yeah, true, yeah.
And Joshua's a British boxer.
I think it would all depend, yeah. If Hay beat Bellew second time round, I think it would be Hay Joshua later on.
Maybe, or maybe they try and do a trilogy fight, and then they need a trilogy fight.
They would do a trilogy, yeah. Then they'd finish the
fight.
Trilogy, and that'd probably be the end of David Hay after that.
He should
probably retire.
Yeah, because he's been saying that he's thinking of retiring at it's soon.
Yeah,
especially now he's got his own promotion going, which I've covered previously.
It's not too far away, actually. The Hay Bellew.
No, it's not. We'll cover that.
7/12, isn't it? Something
like that. Yeah. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, there's not a catastrophic injury.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see with that. So that was the little snippet of boxing.
Aye.
Should we shift? Do you want to do Star Wars and then football, or do you want to do football then Star Wars?
We'll stick with the sports and then move on to Star Wars last.
Give us some football stuff.
Because there's
international football.
Yeah, there hasn't been much really.
Domestic.
Yeah. Trying to think, there wasn't Champions League during the week because obviously it's international break now. England played Germany on Friday night at Wembley. It was 0-0.
What?
Yep. But
Germany didn't score any goals.
No,
against terrible England side.
Well, they both, because it was an international friendly basically, because
it was a friendly.
Yeah, the World Cup qualifying is finished for England. They're in the World Cup next year.
So I don't give a fuck.
There's a couple of playoff games to be played. One got played last night. I think it was the Republic of Ireland that played. But
they played against Denmark.
Yeah. Can't for the life of me remember the score. Hopefully the Republic of Ireland won that. I don't know if they did. I'm going to check that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically what the international friendly was for, on Friday night was basically Gareth Southgate, England manager.
Was he running out any of the new guys?
Yeah, he ran out a few youngsters. So
that's a good idea.
Had Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who
that's an interesting
is a Chelsea prospect. He played, he didn't really do much. Jamie Vardy had a run out because I think Harry Kane was being
rested.
Yeah,
I'd rest him.
Yeah, well, he had a hamstring injury not a couple of weeks ago, so he missed the game against Man United for Spurs. So I think that basically just went, we'll rest him. Doesn't matter. It's only a friendly. There's no point putting the big guns on while they're still very much in the middle of the Premier League season.
Yeah.
We had Phil Jones, who plays for Manchester United, who's actually been very, very good this season. Got injured in the first half and had to go off, and has added to Manchester United's injury problems.
Oh shit!
But he's actually been very, very impressive, and if he can get back soon, hopefully, I don't know what the extent of the injury was. I think it might have been a hamstring, but I don't think it was too bad of a tweak. I think it was just a tweak, not an actual pull.
Yeah.
I could be wrong there. But yeah, hopefully he can get back fast, because he's been playing really, really well this season under Jose Mourinho. And hopefully, if he can keep that up for the rest of the season, he can bring that into the World Cup, because that's where England have been suffering massively over the last few years. As soon as John Terry went, for whatever you think about John Terry, the guy's a bit of a knob, but he was a fantastic defender.
Loves fucking other team members' wives.
Yes, he does. But we've been missing that brilliant defender, that central defender, that leader. Because we've got Gary Cahill, who's just so overrated, in my opinion. A lot of people really like Gary Cahill, but he's a headless chicken. He is the definition of a headless chicken at the back. He doesn't know what he's doing unless he's got something of pure quality next to him, and he's not a leader.
Interesting.
Yeah. And a lot of people will disagree with me for that opinion. I know there have been a lot of people who have disagreed with me when I've talked about it, but he's not good at all. So yeah, who else got a run out on Friday? Because there was Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and there was another one who was playing up front, who I think it was his debut. I'm gonna quickly find that out now. Lineups. There we go. It was Tammy Abraham. Yes. Who is currently he's a Chelsea player, but he's on loan at Swansea at the moment.
Okay.
It's his first season in the Premier League, and again didn't really do much, but he's only a young lad, so he's still got it all ahead of him. But he's been playing well in the Premiership so far for a Swansea team. He was at the beginning of the season, he was in talks with Newcastle to come on loan to Newcastle.
Yeah.
And here's a funny thing for you. He got convinced by the representatives of Chelsea to go to Swansea instead of Newcastle.
Really?
And do you know what their reasoning was? Newcastle has too much of a nightlife.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
They said, yeah, Newcastle's got too much of a nightlife. We don't want you going up there. That was their reason. Basically, it's because it's the north. They don't want these players in the north of England.
Why?
Don't know. It's weird. They don't like their players going up north.
It's because they're afraid that they'll lose them, or
I think it's because London's the big draw, isn't it? For these, you get these big players who are coming over, from the different countries and everything.
Yeah.
If they're coming over to the Premiership, because that's where they want to be, because it's the biggest league in the world. Like, it is the most difficult league to go to, so that's where they want to go. They want to go to prove themselves, but they want to go to either London or Manchester.
Yeah,
because those are the big cities. Those are the major cities. When you see people from outside the UK and you say, "Oh, what cities do you know?" And we know London, and some people go, "Oh, we know Manchester," and they go, "I don't know."
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so that's the big draw, really. So, and I don't know, it's really, really weird. I don't know why they did it, but yeah, it's not like there isn't nightlife in Swansea.
Yeah, there is definitely nightlife.
Yeah, there's nightlife everywhere you go.
Yeah, it doesn't
so
matter
it was a very, very, very strange thing to see and to hear, but he's doing all right as Tammy Abrahams, and he's a good young English prospect.
Well, hopefully he performs well for England, because
yeah.
I think that England needs to perform well. They haven't performed well for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
not interesting.
It's the age-old
not the
story
draw.
with England, especially of this generation. It's absolutely smashed qualifying for the most part, apart from 2008 when we had Steve McLaren in charge. Where we didn't even qualify for the Euros. We smashed the qualifying campaigns, so we get into the major tournaments. And as soon as we get to the major tournaments, they go, "Oh, shit." And then that's it. Yeah. So, but saying it now with the World Cup next year, I'm not looking forward to it, because I don't believe Gareth Southgate's the right man to lead England. I really don't. Just some of his decision making already in the qualifying campaign and some of the friendlies, and you're just like, what? Why are you bringing this person into the squad that aren't even playing well for their club? Why are you playing these people this way? This isn't their actual position. There's so many questions over it, and I just think it's going to be another tournament where we go probably get knocked out in the group stages.
Oh yeah, I think that's realistically happen.
Without a doubt. But at least then, once England are knocked out of the group stages, I can then enjoy the rest of the tournament.
It's a very pessimistic way of thinking it. It's a very realistic way because like there's nothing I would say that England has blown anyone's hair back with their performances.
No,
it's not like they've decimated every single squad they've come up against.
No.
There's none of that. They're not unbeaten. They've been beaten plenty of times, and they don't play with any sort of form of commitment, flair, power. There's no like distinguishing factor, I'd say, with England. I'd say they're very much a middle of the road team that probably will not do as well as against the big European sides.
Well, the funny thing is we actually always end up playing better against the bigger sides. It's the little sides we just can't get through. We don't know how to break them down, and that's been a big problem of English football. And you got these big players coming through like Harry Kane, who is an absolute beast. He's an incredible striker, just doesn't get the service when he plays for England. Because we don't have these players behind, we're missing a Gerrard, a Beckham in their prime, a Paul Scholes.
So a good midfield as well.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So a decent midfield, a good attacking midfield.
Yeah, and then it just all falls apart at the back because we just haven't got any.
There's no depth of defence.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'd be very interesting to see how badly we do in the tournament next year, but
I don't foresee it. I mean, as not a major football fan, I have a very ambivalent look towards how England performs inside of the World Cup, the Euros, etc. And to be brutally honest, I've never been the only time I've ever been like they've been a brilliant side is when they did that 5-1 beat down of Germany, ages back. But that was because they just decimated them, completely pulled apart. And I think that was the only time when you went British football or English football was of the pinnacle it needed to be.
Yeah.
But now it's just not.
The problem has been we've had the players, we've had the players there. The problem has been getting the right man in to manage them
and get the correct tactics going.
Yeah, which we just haven't done.
There's no one who looks at it like breaks it down like it's a science. I thought no one is like a scientist that goes in and just tries to. Which is why
when Sam Allardyce came into it, people went, "Ooh, maybe," because he is a big advocate of getting the scientific side of football down,
the tactical game.
Yeah. The problem was that he then had his mass media career suicide mission, and that was it. But 100% record.
He's only played, he's only manager for one game.
1-1.
Yeah. Most successful England manager.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, so that's the football. Not much going on. There'll be more next week, definitely, because the Premiership will be back.
Yeah, we'll cover that next week's podcast, along with the action of any or mixed martial arts or boxing news that we come into. Yeah. We'll have to wrap it up now as we're running a bit low on time. So next week we'll have to do the Star Wars story.
Yes, we'll do the Star Wars stuff next week.
Next week will be the Star Wars story, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I do apologise.
Yeah,
right.
So
it's been fun.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening and watching the Gentleman's Debate podcast. If you've enjoyed yourselves, please leave us a review on podcasts, your podcast platforms, on YouTube. If you like it, that would be much appreciated. Give us a little thumbs up. And also share it with your friends across the platforms. Yes, just let us know what you think. Leave us a few comments and ask us a few questions, and we'll try to answer them in the podcast next week. But now we've got Josh mic'd up again. Thank you very much, Josh, for looking after us in today's podcast. This has been the Gentleman's Debate episode 18.
Oh, we hope 2 away from the Big 20.
I know. I hope you have a nice week for the week, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye.
One sec, guys. I have to do a quick shameless plug.
A shameless plug?
York Video Production.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So this filmed by our friend Joshua Simpson, who runs his own business. So he's the one who's doing all of the filming for us. So if you need any photography work or videography work being done... Including porn, apparently.
All the
porn. So if you need like a wedding being covered, if you need a special event,
hit me up.
Then please go on to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at York Video Pro, and you can get a booking done there. So ladies and gentlemen, have a nice day. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.